Okay. Oh, shit. Sorry. Good morning, everyone. Let me just fix this. Okay, wait. Sorry. Share na natin screen. Okay. Share. Sorry about the technicality. Okay. Share audio. Okay, here we go. There we go. Are we good? Ayun na. Okay. Bagal load siya. Okay. Are we seeing the screen, everyone? Okay, yeah. Thank you. Good morning. Sorry for the delay for a few minutes. So here we go. Good morning and welcome. I hope you're staying at the comfort of your home. If you're in the office, you're safe. And then here, push forward. Okay. Now, okay. Now, welcome to developing supervisory skills. Now, this is actually a 8-day program. So, with an 8-track. We're just going to do a little introduction. We'll compress as much as we can. And then hopefully everything's well. Sorry about that. Okay. Continue. Okay, so now, just to make it clear, this is a program that is consists of 8 other programs, but for purposes of today, and just for you to have a better perspective up to how to get a grasp and also understand the logic why it was developed. Okay. Now, a little about me. Recently, just recently recognized psychological first aider from House on Mental Health. So we've been helping some people quite some time, but it was formalized one Saturday ago. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of MRRI Trading and also the Chief Knowledge Officer of Origanum Solutions. These are the past, but continuously I'm doing my public service to my Rotary Club, which is Rotary Club of Metropolitan Pateros. Now, just to show a little bit of added value, if you have time, we do pre-consultations. After this session, you can just drop us an email, a message if you really need help or clarification from us. Just drop us a message or text, and then we'll tell you if I'm available for a call. But if not, some of my consultants will happily take your call. Okay. Now, just a simple house rule. Please reserve your questions because, to tell you frankly, supposedly, again, this is a long subject, but the coming slides or the discussions that I will have to present may answer your inquiry. And then kindly you mute your mic for the session, just not to distract. For the moment, it's me as the resource speaker or the main facilitator will speak. And then for any inquiries, just like I flashed already my contact details earlier, just give a text or message or at our community page, our guys will make it an effort to call my attention or answer you. And then if you have some inquiries that you don't like to miss the question, just put it out there, drop it in our chat box, and at the end of the day, please enjoy. Okay. Now, why do you need this course? I saw earlier some of our good friends are coming from abroad, and some of our participants is already a doctor or a master already, or probably a fellow practitioner like me. So, the other consideration that I might be thinking is that because some of you are familiar names, and some of them I think are their subordinates, they were brought here. So sinama for us to join for today, but just for the purposes of the course, let me take note. No, supervisor. Uh, why are you here? The framework in which the DSS was done is this. It's supposed to be a 360 approach of welcoming a future supervisor later on. Number one, when I did this 21 21 years ago, is that it's under a talent management program. So medyo titingnan natin yung yung importance no role of the HR and some of the departments, and also the immediate superior. How critical? Why? Because the supervisor is the bridge, because he is already now part of management, and then someone who is being listened to by the rank and file. Foundation, because he was groomed into. Now, why did I say 360? Number one, if you are a participant, if you will take notice later, just for purposes of time, um, you are here but not your supervisor. The reason is very simple. You were somehow, somewhere, categorized by your immediate superior, unless you came here on your own volition, that you are a high potential. So under the talent management map, or in part of the retention program of HR, should be someone being prepared for the next level. Now, if you are already in the supervisory level and you're in this program, uh, you have already done your baptism of your fire, and formally you're in the position. Okay. Given that, it also tells you, um, is this a review? Is this a beginning? Or it's just a reminder of your position? Bakit? We're at the first quarter of the year. If your organization is mature already, you do a semi-annual na or by every 6 month na performance management. Either there is a formal one or there's an informal one, and then it is laid down the line up to the rank and file. Now, if you are now a manager but you're in the junior position, if you're in the middle management, or if you are being prepared for the executive or the SC or the C-suite level, it is now a reminder for you to prepare others. That's now part of your career and development program, or part of your succession planning. So, yun yung three frameworks in which this was created. Now, not all skill set was incorporated dito, but when we did it for one of my previous employers, the third largest cruise line in the world, and the largest shipbuilding company as of this very moment, we thought that we had to really pick and prioritize, because remember, especially pandemic, not all companies has the resources to fund for the next leadership. But the leadership should be prepared for the upcoming years. Kasi especially ngayon, very tricky. It's pandemic. There's a lot of consideration on how to handle your personnel, top to bottom or bottom to top. Now, some of discussions, I will just touch it slightly, but it's offered in other courses. Okay, now what's my objective? Now, at the end of this course, a candidate, if you were nominated by your superior to enroll in this class, and then if you're participant, you come in by your own volition or not, or it was a part of your learning, you will understand now the importance of the position of the supervisor. Now, in my experience, okay, in my experience, in my experience, sorry about that. In my experience, the technical guys, especially the rank and file, rose up from the ranks because of their skill. But once they go up, they start to handle people. So that now creates a problem. You were good at position, but it's not necessarily you're good at handling people. You might have potential leadership skills, but it's need to be honed. Now, part of that journey is that you have to have a working grasp of different skill sets. Primary skill sets that we have determined based on our study on a 20 years experience in cruise line and in the hospitality industry. We have identified all of this one that we will discuss on the later pages. And then you have to also understand, especially either if you're the high potential, if you're the supervisor, or you're the superior or the middle manager, whoever on top, that the journey of a supervisor is all about capacity building. It's both an art and skill. And then many of those things are not in the books, but you will only learn in the execution of your experiences. Okay, so yung learning capacity and learning culture added. So, like I've said, it was written under the framework of a talent management system. But nonetheless, it's still a standalone. Okay? Now, to tell you frankly, this is under normal circumstances, this is an 8-day program. The track one is you are a supervisor. We will discuss each and every one. Yan, leadership, delegation, briefing, handling problems and conflict, the communication plays a role, the motivation and team building, and then performance appraisal and coaching. You will take note all of this naka-center doon sa position. For purposes of our discussion today, take note that the supervisor is an office manifested and executed through a person. So, just for purposes of clarification, respect as always to be accorded, and then syempre assumptions and some certain actions is always part of his and her etiquette as a supervisor. Kaya nga, you might disrespect the person but always respect the office. Tapos, syempre, an office carries an accountability, which accountability requires a set of skill sets. Kaya nga, we've been emphasizing on that. Now, we'll go one by one on this one, but if you attend the full lecture, we will share to you lahat ng mga course outline. So, this is normally under normal circumstances. This is always customized depending on the industry, depending on the client requirement, and then depending on the peripheries of how a supervisor works in their workplace or workstation. So, medyo ano yan. But for purposes of today I'll just do the brief discussion, the principles. And then if you attend our formal class with this one, aside from yung makikita nyo sa course outline, the technicalities. Mabigat yung ano dyan. If this was done with our company's direct supervision for the 8 days, mabigat ang investment on doon sa role playing, on doon sa simulations, and then validation of the skill set. So, may lahat yan, binibidyo, normally in cases, binibidyo talaga namin. But that's part of Origanum Solutions validation program. So, if you graduate from our 8 course, especially kung ano yan, the full course, we give you a certificate of compliance and completion. License under Origanum Solutions. But anyway, that's the ano lang naman. Just for you to understand each one. Now, what is track 1? So, track 1 is titled You Are a Supervisor. Okay? So, the first and foremost is knowing thyself. Now, question number 1. Well, are you currently a supervisor? Officially or not? Or you've been given with verbal authority that you are? Or in such cases, you notice na you've been bombarded with certain responsibilities, activities, leadership activities, technical know-how, which is not normally covered by your position. So, ano yung mga sinabi ko? All of these are indicators that what? You are a high potential. So, let's start with the cycle. Supposedly, kasi it's a 360 cycle. So, number 1 is you are being determined as a high potential. So, if medyo mature ang corporation, yung kumpanya ninyo, or yung inyong liderato, normally, at the very beginning, and then through time, especially if you're just regularization, they see talent. Normally, if you get hired, you meet the minimum qualifications required by the position according to your JD, if you're an HR practitioner. But if you're an organizational development practitioner naman, the last one you incorporate is that you are a culture fit to the position. So, yun yung, dyan, yung very important part dyan. Now, high potential, and then there is a manager that acknowledges that, now, and then it is already referred to management, top management. This is now the case. How do you know that you are a supervisor? Material. The technical tools now, dati two. Explicit, implicit, and now, yung pangatlo ngayon is progressive. So, paano yun? So, explicit, from the word itself, very, very simple. I just tell you, are your candidate supervisor? Management tells us. So, bago mangyayari yun, always remember number 1, if you already have a performance management system in place, meron kayong performance appraisals, meron kayong documentation of late, absences, performance, lalo na kung may time and motion studies kayo, kung very mature na yung organization ninyo, or if you request us to put it in place, we do it for you, but nonetheless will not change. Kasi ano yan it's a leadership issue on identification. If the manager says explicitly identify, fine. But what about the second type, which is implicit? So, pag sa implicit, it's what we call in talent management and career development, lock and key. So pagka ganun, okay, Mr. A is a high potential. So pag sinabing high potential ang isang tao, all the records tells us, yes, you're a high potential. Fine. But the question is, why do it in lock and key? Kasi normally, what they will tell you is that just maybe, umakyat sa ulo. So, anong ibig sabihin ng umakyat sa ulo? The necessarily, it will affect performance. So, yun yung laging concern ng mga kliyente sa amin. And then, what happens in an implicit one? Oh, Mr. SA, okay, Mr. Manager, top management here, we think, and as recommended by HR, a high potential siya. So we highly encourage you na train this guy. Papapansin mo, binobombard ka na napakaraming training ng napakaraming activities na either directly related or some are already management prerogatives na na ginagawa. And then you're thinking, oh naku, bakit hindi ko magawa, bakit kaya ako tinitrain? So that's a very, very big question on your end. Ngayon, progressive now is done from mature organizations. Kasi sinasabi ni Peter Senge in the 5th discipline, if your organization is a learning organization, what you will notice is that meron ng initiative to learn. And then, that's the same way you notice with high potentials as a character and as a behavior. They love to learn. Tapos, you acknowledge yung supervisor or manager telling this guy na gano'n, I think you have a potential. Would you like to be trained? Sir, yes, but promote not necessarily. These are the kind of situations where the promotee is a little bit hesitant or a little about reluctant, sabi nga namin. So, yung reluctant leader, guys, if you will take notice, normally, these are the guys na has great potential, but this is also the guys who normally performs the accountability, performs what is required, but actually more than what is required of them. And then, the result is there. So you could just imagine yung nangyayari dyan. Okay? Now, let's move forward. Among the three, we highly encourage yung tawag dyan, the third one. But as much as possible lang, let it down. Cool down yung hype para hindi siya create ng buzz. Kasi baka mamaya it creates jealousy or what. So, it really depends on the manager on how they will execute this kind of functionalities, especially in disclosing ng high potential. Now, let's go to track 2. So, leadership. Leading without the title. Now, doon sa mga ganitong klase ng liderato, mapapansin natin na there are some performers, rank and file or not, supervisors or not, they can influence. They don't necessarily have the title, and then till they can influence a decision. So, and then, pag titingnan mo naman sa performance, they're moving forward. They're contributing. So, you could just imagine. Okay. Oh, are we having some problems with the audio, guys? Oh, please, ano na lang, we'll ask the administrator to clear that kasi it's clear on my end. I'm sorry about the little ano. Okay, may I continue? Okay? Admin, please kindly check lang po. Okay. So, paki-check na lang so I no, we're baka ma-short tayo ng oras. Okay? Okay. Please, I'll continue na po. Okay. Okay. Now, doon sa leadership without a title, just to make it clear, now, these are the guys that you have to identify. Kasi the influence they exemplify will be very, very important when they are already in the position of management, of supervisor. More so pagka tumaas yung position. Now, it's an art, it's a skill. Now, hindi yan nakukuha sa libro, but it is character. Now, HR plays a very, very important role. Why? Because first and foremost, the demographics or the profiling silang gumagawa. Unless your manager or your current supervisor is very studious in documenting your personnel. Okay? And that's very, very critical. Now, ako, as a practice, I would like to share with you, I write commendation papers. So, if there's one department who exemplified an output, especially for our sales team or those one in the marketing or the one who is like for the HR doing all this talent management work, I wrote a letter and then I instruct the manager, hey, please recognize the proper person who did the effort for your team to shine. So, ganun lang. Part of my documentation, I'm not saying that you do it, but it works for me, so I get a track. So, just to share a little secret with you guys, in spite of my position, I involved myself in the recruitment process kasi I want to have a personal touch on my talent management program. Nasa inyo yun. Pero nonetheless, lalo kung mag-hire kayo ng someone from the outside, I urge you guys na always do a profiling system. Kasi ano yan, part and parcel dyan. And then, again, like just to share with you, in my practice, I do a Myers-Briggs personality test and a leadership index. Ngayon, I have my own, but nonetheless, para pag nag-recommend si HR sa akin, with due respect with their system, I just cross-reference. So, it's up to you. It's just sharing my little practice. Now, let's go to track 3, delegation. Okay, number 1, no man is an island. Okay, let me clarify that, guys. At the beginning, ikaw talaga, lalo if you're starting your company. But if the organization is already established, you're already establishing your succession planning or career development, you should be very, very good at delegating. Why? Number 1, it's part of your retention program. Number 2, it eases your job. The philosophy should be, I'm not delegating because I don't know the job, but I believe you can do the job. So, we can easen up time. Ayun. Yun yung dapat. And then, syempre, if you are a motivational speaker or a motivational leader, if you delegate and you tell them you're sharing the responsibility, the subordinate, the high potential, or the supervisor candidate manager now feels to have a buy-in or feels that he is a part of the organization and part of whatever the team's output. So, good or bad, he or she feels that they are part ng ano. So, kaya yung sharing ng responsibilities dyan, critical. Kasi it's part of your moral. Kaya ganun ka-importante ang delegation sa akin. And again, if you can replicate your work ethic to your people, it also eases the burden to you as a CEO. Diba? Ano dyan. I also share this with my guys. Di porket manager ka, ikaw ang pinakamagaling. I agree you are there for a reason. But you should be preparing the next set of leaders for you to take over, for them to take over in the near future. Kasi you will be also prepared for the next higher level position, especially when I retire. Diba? Parang ganyan. So, kailangan open perspective. Kaya napakahalaga ng delegation. Okay? And then, syempre, at the end of the day, there is a money interest or syempre may cost ang delegation. Either it fails, it succeeds, it has implications on the output of the organization, of your company. Okay. Track 4, briefing. Okay. Now, normally, every company has business objectives. Now, depende doon sa kung sino yung manager nyo. Syempre from top, where you have already your corporate goals and you just came in from your strategic planning. Ito na ang ating business objectives for this year. Syempre, kung mature yung organization, it's already third quarter. Like in my practice, by April 14, the board of directors meet, the executive committee of middle managers meet. Okay, let's do an hour analysis of how we perform, so on and so forth. Now, with all of this happening, it boils down kung ano man yung recommendations and action taken or corrective actions that has been developed there, bababa mo yan sa supervisor. So what does happen? The dilly-dallies, the technicalities, so many. But it gets boring. So, what I teach to my guys, especially kung sa kliyente, if you just came from a strategic planning or a performance review on a quarterly basis, supervisor, this is the new goals, this is the corrective actions, this is a plan. Before you go down, I want to know how you will delegate, how will you correct, and then how long do I expect changes? Put him on all of these things. And then when he returns, okay, hey, you may now conduct your meeting. Now, this goes for every managers, for every team leaders, regardless of their departments or organizations. So, sinasabi ko lagi, gano'n. But make it short. Don't make it boring. Para at the end of the day, kung ikaw ay construction firm, toolbox meeting, in the meeting, trabaho-trabaho, review sa hapon. If you're a process improvement team, this has been the direction of top management, trabaho. And then, okay, saan tayo nagkulang based on output? May corrective action kaya ba ngayon? Or kailangan i-correct tomorrow? Okay. But if you're in the HR, especially yung mga timelines, lalo na kung may mga legal issues for purposes of performance. So, just be careful. Yun lang naman sinasabi natin. Okay. Now, 5. Handling problems and conflict. Rule number 1. There will always be conflict because it's people. It's always diverse. Ang laging sinasabi ko nga guys is you have to be sensitive to the culture, to the people, to who is in conflict. Kasi kung ang in conflict is kayo in the client, that's a problem. Ang conflict is peer-to-peer, rank and file to rank and file, that's also a problem, but it does not, na maliit-liit pa yung implication, but can have legal implications. The same way na sa client, pero mas mabigat. And then the conflict between you as a supervisor and then you, the rank and file on the other hand. Or a problem between you and the other departments guys. So that's another issue. Now, the end of the day, remember these are two opposing ideas or two opposing suggestions. That is major problem. So rule number 1, mediate. Mediate muna, incorporate all the facts. Never castigate at the onset. Kung client, I'm sure some of you, especially those already experienced managers from our participants, say sorry first to the client and then involve kung sino yung nagkamali for resolving the conflict. Pero pag ang problem or ang conflict is between fellow workers, either peer-to-peer, peer to superior, superior to top management, that is now an interplay of the rules. Doon papasok yung policy management ninyo. So, as much as possible, you incorporate that. Ako, lalo kung hanggat kaya within the team. Kasi, but nonetheless, document. Kasi, it has to be somehow, somewhere endorsed to HR. Kasi kailangan, it's always documented for future references. And especially if you're doing your succession planning, if your policy requires there is no disciplinary actions 3, 6, 9, 12, ganyan. So, ako, depende sa kliyente. Kung nagpagawa yan ng Employees Code of Conduct, I always prepare what is the protocol. But nonetheless, resolve immediately. Wag mong palipasin ngayon at bukas Unless it requires a formal meeting, you may do so. But if it's a matter of the heat of the occasion, please resolve it there and then. And then always make sure mediate. Kasi if they're in the workplace, more likely they are already mature enough to handle their own emotions. And then, siyempre, the works come first. Baka naman kasi mamaya, ang conflict, which is in most of the case, I can deliver better this way versus I can deliver better this way. I can serve our client better this way. Oh, diba? It's just a matter of alternatives. But it was defended in a inconsistent, untimely, or baka naman mali lang yung meron lang something in the environment that triggered it wrong. So, nag-heated argument. So, something like that. But anyway, resolve it immediately. Now, we go to track 6, improving communication. Now, for leaders, especially if you're a John Maxwell fan, if you're a fan of this 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the most important thing or the greatest source of conflict is miscommunication. So, bago maging supervisor yan, o ikaw already in the supervisor, or ikaw yung manager. Kasi, just to share with you, we have a separate developing managerial skills program that we'll share in the future. Now, going back, John Maxwell emphasizes yung communication that it's a reciprocal obligation. And a great leader, a successful leader, tells you that for you to be understood, you must understand how he understands you. Kaya, pakinggan mo muna. So, kung lalo doon kanina, if you notice doon sa conflict, my last example was the conflict was how to better serve. So they get the G's of A and B before you decide. But na ngayon dyan, a part of that also, of that communication, is the channels. Are the channels trustworthy or they are open? Kasi, how about the communication between peer to peer, superior to subordinate, subordinate to superior to top management? May malinaw ba? Kasi sa ibang kumpanya, mature na kumpanya, merong revolving door. Revolving. Open door doctrine that anyone can go to HR, tell what they feel, provided it's documented. If it needs an affidavit, name and sign. Ganun dyan. Para at the end of the day, top management can understand bakit may nagsusumbong ng ganito, bakit may nagano. Mas maganda nga, bakit may nag-suggestion na ganito on how to improve company operations. So, yung channels. So, and the third one, aside from the channel, is the culture. When I started my company, I make it sure that even the guard can talk to me. Even the driver can talk to me. Does your company can do that? Ba? Ganun ka-open yung communication. And then, always be on the factual basis. Ba? And then, fourth, aside from culture, in order to protect you and everyone else, put it in your policy. Diba? Nasa employees code of conduct, employees protocol. Kung talagang super mature ang organization, I made business continuity management programs for them which incorporates communication. Kasi in cases of tulad yan, may pandemic, how does the company operates? In spite of the pandemic, siyempre meron ng mga just to share with you, pagka ganyan may mga COVID-19 cases, tatanungin sino ang authorized representative to speak in behalf of the corporation. So, may ganon. So, although kaya lang natin siya tinatouch kasi the communication should be open to the organization. But when it comes to outside, it should be filtered. And then always make sure that you are understood why you are saying this. Kaya, same principle, you should be understood by letting them understand how you should be understood. So, ganun ka-importante yung communication. Same goes with the jowa balls ninyo. So, when they speak, understand. For them to understand you, you must understand where they are coming from. That's very basic. Okay. Now, track 7, motivation and team building. Supervisor is the face and also part and parcel of the management. You are now part of the management. Kaya nga, very critical yun, when do you give the formal title? And also, at the other side of the table, how do you groom and for him to be prepared? Kasi remember, promoting someone or preparing someone for the leadership position is a difficult job. It's not only you as the immediate superior, HR plays a role, top management plays a role, culture builds a role. The same goes for the supervisor himself. Kasi at the end of the day, you will be now a source of motivation. And from there now, you will be now building a team. Okay, so, syempre, if you're a supervisor, it's not a title alone. You'll be handling people. So, doon, they look up to you. You're their model. You're their boss. Especially if mature organizations ang na dyan, they look up to you. Or there is a lot of expectation. And the motivation is all about you. You are the center of their morale. Kasi if the team collapses, if the team leader or supervisor collapses, naturally the team also collapses unless napakataas ng leadership compass ng mga team members mo. So that tells a different story. But nonetheless, ikaw ang magmamotivate. Now, I don't know if some of you are in the BPO industry or in the call center industry. You would take note, like what we did in Accenture. Sorry, I've mentioned the name now. We did a study on how they build the team and then what they were actually doing and then we did propose. So, ano yung ibig sabihin no? Kasi yung iba, ang concept ng team building, mag-swimming tayo, mag-inom. Then yosi time. Meron, pero formally naka-announce sa management yon. But some of them will take the time to talk open, get to know them better, and so forth. Now, meron din naman formalized, which is normally organized by their HR. And then, Sir Marvin, this is Sir Mavs, this is the demographics, this is our wanted results. Can you do us some exercises and then simulations that we can yan? Tapos, this is where we're going to do this one. So, okay, so binabalik namin. Thank you po, ma'am, sir. But let me ask you, normally we also do po a study. Did you ask them? Kasi the best person to ask and build motivation is the supervisor through, number one, the high potential because more likely he is the center of the being or the one who acts as a cohesion to every member of your team. And then next to him is your formal supervisor, which is expected pa nga sa kanya yon. But nonetheless, have you documented the demographics? Yun sinasabi ko lagi sa HR manager. Sabi ko, so Pam, I have no problem with you, but in order to help your team, you have to understand them. Kasi a lot of the research goes through how do you really know them well. Kasi remember, in psychology, especially kung if you're an NLP practitioner, suggestive yan ang action. Then in the initiate to think should come from the targeted participant, yung initiative to change. So ganun yung approach. So the same way when you prepare the next supervisor or the supervisor, they are very critical because they are the glue. So kung if you're not mindful, if you're not self-aware that you affect the motivation of everyone and the eye of top management, and then yung relationship na yon ay hindi na-groom, probably the team will collapse. Or normally it will be expressed in failure to meet targets. But if that string of motivation is cultivated, napansin ni boss, naalagaan mo yung perspective sa'yo at saka yung sa output, may trabaho. It always boils down to a team. Remember, a team functions as a system. It cannot go without one sprocket. It must go with all. So, kung maganda ang gasolina at maganda ang level ng gasolina, maganda ang takbo ng kotse. Pero kung may halo at hindi nauunawaan ang gamit sa gasolina, you don't expect the peak performance of everyone or the car itself as a system or the team itself as a system. Kaya nga, very critical yung supervisor. In the formal program, we teach you yung mga stimuli. Okay, kasi as mentioned, I'm a psychological first aider. Two schools of thought that you can use, either NLP, which is top to bottom. You feel them, you make them feel that you're a team because their mind is set to it, and then through the actions taken. And then the other schools of thought, baliktad naman yung the amygdala training namin. It's bottom up naman. Physical activities or actions taken presented that they are felt to be part of the team. So bottom activities to the mind, unlike the NLP, mind to the activity. So up to you guys. Up to you. So, depende sa mga managers na kasamahan natin dito sa really how you apply. And then track 8 is the metrics. This is very critical to each and every one. Now, in developing supervisory skills, the reason it's incorporated, again, it's in a 360 view. You measure the performance of the high potential, the current supervisor, current supervisor, which is I to be promoted, and then downward. So, nakita mo na yung performance. Does the supervisor need appraisal? The high potential needs appraisal. The high potential appraise coach lang yung peer kasi wala pa siyang authority. The one to do the appraisal syempre is the supervisor unless formally delegated. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo, yung mga medyo mature na organizations, what they do is that before they promote someone, meron mo ng testing period of 3-6 months before they formally award the title. So, yun yung ano. Now, remember, any talent management program is always a work of the project manager and a ton of the legwork together with your partnership with your HR. Kasi syempre, all these PAs are in the sphere of custody ng HR. So, kailangan labs mo talaga si HR manager. If you are the consultant, if you are the organizational development manager, and then syempre, at the end of the day, all these documentations, you have a very, very good channel and also communication of putting it down the line to your managers. Kasi bakit? At the end of the day, when you get promoted, you now get to be the one doing the metrics or doing the performance appraisal, validating the performance of your subordinates or direct reports. Kaya, kasama to. But, PA is a very tricky subject. Kasi syempre, technically, it is within the sphere of HR, of human resource, but intervention program is a sweet deal between HR and training department and organizational department. So, ganun siya dyan. And then, all of this must be in line with the corporate objectives for next year. So, very, very important. And then, coaching. Ano lang, guys, muna. Kasi DDS, Developing Supervisory Skills muna. Doon muna tayo sa coaching. Kasi pag mentoring, ang assumption is the one doing the mentoring is already an expert of the field with a fellow practitioner who's wanting to be an expert of the same practice. Ngayon, pag sa supervisor, coaching muna kasi he is the formal part of management and the rank and file or the high potential does not yet have the title. Hindi pa siya peer. So, normally, coaching lang muna on the proper execution. Kasi may mga legal implications which we will also discuss in the formal class. Okay? So, with that, thank you very much. We'll go to the Q&A immediately. Thank you, guys. So, okay. Anyone, guys? Please put on the chat box. I'll try my best to answer given the time. Ba't ganun? Mute pa. Okay. Anyone, guys? Sorry. Again, just to also share with, no, I hope you have already done the screenshot for our contact details. So just drop us a message anytime you need for purposes of clarification. I'm more than happy to answer your queries. Okay, here's one question, guys. Says, sir, you said supervisory staff, how do you approach such negative attitude? Now, just to answer the question, if this is being clearly manifested by the employee, or I assume na ano ito, matagal na, regular na, they have been working with these guys for a certain period, they feel that they've acquired certain expertise because they've been long in the position, tapos you were assumed you were hired outside, uh, hindi ka organic in terms of the uh, acquisition of the position. Ang suggestion ko lang dyan, guys, is that number one, approach them, try to first understand them. Closed room, closed door, and then why. Okay. And then two, okay guys, very short yung oras. Anuin lang natin. Okay. Let me finish lang yung one question para lang So, closed door, and then if this, kung merong mga violations, just inform HR. Not yet put a case. Just inform them that this was this incident. IR lang, incident report lang. Wag munang may mga disciplinary actions. Okay? And then, ano na natin. Tsaka mo lang set another meeting na, okay, we discussed this. Just prepare, just tell me everything of them, and then we approach to the next level kung sakali. Pero kung kaya i-clarify doon, better. Okay. Now, any tips to drive employee leadership? Ngayon, ito ang kagandahan sa tanong na ito. Drive into the leadership. Now, meron kasi na innate yung kanilang pagiging leader. So, ibig sabihin, unconsciously they function well. So, or they manifest well. Now, and then some, meron kasing mga managers that has eye for talent and eye for leadership. Ibig sabihin, potentiality. So, what do I mean by that? How do you drive them? Ang secret technique ko, very basic. Number one is putting the trust on the line. Try to give them functions or utusan mo na mga related sa trabaho niya, na medyo related sa'yo, or put them in rhetorical questions. So, halimbawa, Mr. A, would you promote B and C? Sir, si B, bakit si B? What's the good points? What's the bad points? Bakit si C? Ayan. If I were you, who would you promote? Sigurado ka na ba? Baliktarin ko yung tanong. Kung ikaw po promote ko, bakit kita po promote? So those rhetorical questions or situations. And then syempre, yung delegation, that's the most important element. Can you delegate? And if put a test to delegate a function din. Ngayon, nagawa. Go to level 2, a higher function. Nagawa. Level 3, function. And then, recognize, appraise. Paano siya bumalik doon sa appraisal? Number 1, sir, wala, trabaho yun, sir. Hindi, kaya ko, sir. Hindi, kulang pa, sir, kaya pa. So what do I mean by that? If that person is welcome to the challenge, okay yon. And then if you do that, uh, as much as possible, ako may mga self-notes. That's my practice. But sabi ko nga, pagka commendable, to make sure that you can, communicate with HR na pwede pala. Yung, meron akong candidate for promotions and then cross-validate with the performance appraisal. Kung kinakandak na HR, well and good. Pero kung meron kayong output-based, lalo kung nasa construction or nasa manufacturing firm kayo, well and good. If nasa sales kayo, look at the sales report. If you look at the complaints report, how did this person fix all these problems? Or has CD communication? And the most important thing is initiative. All of these things, kung wala siyang initiative, that's a problem. Pero, kung binato mo yung test at nagkaroon ng initiative, that's also a driving factor. So you have to understand also you have to understand yung kanilang no audio. Oy, no audio on my end? Is there clear na po? Clear na? Yeah. Are we hearing this? Sorry. Nawala ba yung nawala? Okay. I thought I lost audio. So okay. Now, anyway, so going back. So important element, they can do the job. Number 2, the element of initiative is present at the all levels of execution ng test mo. 3, there's still humility. Sorry to say, but yun lang sinasabi ko, merong humility. Kasi that's a problem for other guys eh. Yung pagka umaakyat agad sa ulo, or syempre merong sense of yabang, okay lang naman yun. Meron talaga nun. Pero if it becomes to a boastful attitude, that's a problem. Okay. Now, any other question, guys? What if you trust other related functions, pinigay naman po, sir, I learned to inallocate but still they don't step up. Very good. Very good question. I love this one. Anyway, it happens. Pinato mo na, hindi pa rin nag-output. Now, this is my technique. If it boils down to non-performance or below performance, kung medyo mature, kasi I for myself, once become a HR director, and an HR manager, HR director, what I normally do is, as much as possible at the early days talk. Ngayon, after delegating wala pa rin. Now, dumating yung performance appraisal or you'll have a one-on-one meeting with this person or yung this subordinate and then tell him or her, what I will do is, since this is a PA and this was indicated in your performance appraisal, I will lay you down a performance improvement plan. Well, it sounds negative. I understand. Medyo, sometimes it's a ground for something unlikely. But nonetheless, it takes their attention. And then they exert their performance. It's a wake-up call for them if you give them a PIP, a performance improvement plan. Mga dalawang sitwasyon, mapapatawan mo ba? Pero pag pangatlo, 3 is a crowd. I suggest you take a more important, a more drastic step to get their attention. Kasi baka mamaya they are being relaxed. Especially now that your pandemic, may mga work from home. That's a problem already. Kasi syempre you're not seeing them in the workplace. But also on the other hand, nandun nga, nasa bahay nga sila. Kaso naman, they're forced to do their household chores while working. So baka hindi nila nagagawa, nadadagdagan na yung pressure. But that's another story. But just to tell you, it's going to always be a trust issue. Yun lang yung ano natin. Okay? No audio. I hope that's already fixed. Okay, no. Whoa. I'm fine. I hope. Any other questions, guys? Any other questions? So that if none, admin, mayroon tayong evaluation, right? Please take over na kung wala na pong questions. Julius? Oh, another question. Sige, last na to ha. We'll, just to provide yung Sir, paano yung naging supervisor ayaw ng staff kasi meron silang gusto? Anong magandang solusyon sa kanila? Okay, this happens to many organizations. Yung may na-promote but not necessarily a people person. Okay. Now, iba yung gusto nilang i-promote or iba yung feel nila that deserves the position. So, I'll tell you in different perspectives. Number one, from the perspective of the promoting officer, okay, Julius, kindly check lang yung sa audio. Okay, now, paano yung okay. Anyway, just to answer the question, the last two questions. Yung ayaw nila. So, okay, perspective. Manager, you talk to the recently promoted supervisor. Hey, they don't like you. Okay? But my decision is final and it is you. So, it should be the supervisor's initiative to reach out. Kasi he was given that title for a reason and trust. So, that's very, very important. No? Kasi he's in a leadership position na formally. So, he or she must lead already. Okay? Ganun yung mangyayari. Now, from perspective of the manager again to the staff. Now, he must communicate his decision to the staff also. And then acquire commitment to follow. Kasi at the end of the day, the promoting manager is the one who's morally responsible and ethically responsible for the promotion of these guys. But I am 100% sure that he decided on a basis. So, whatever that basis is, he must communicate that to the subordinates of the supervisor. And then, again, acquire commitment to follow or to follow the lead of the recently promoted supervisor. Now, una, present. Ako, ginagawa ko pag nangyayari yan, re-referee ka muna. Talk to the supervisor, talk to the subordinate. Then talk to both supervisor and subordinate. We're still a team here. Ganun muna siya. Okay? And then, ano pa rin yan? Next dyan is now, give them a task. Give them an opportunity to work together as a team. Now, outside or not, ano lang dyan, outside the rooms or probably yung kung sa workplace, okay. Pero if you have an outing or but it's pandemic, so it's not gonna work for the moment. But please do so. Ganun lang yung mangyayari. Okay. Any questions, guys? Are we good, Julius? Siguro it's we're over time. Okay, we're done. Sige, thank you very much. Thank you guys. I believe there's a photo off for everyone. So, let's please open all of your your videos, your cameras, please. Let's just take a shot. Okay, welcome. Dun sa sa mga questions, if you just send us a text, a message, or the FB Messenger at Origanum Solutions anytime. We'll answer as fast as we can. Always welcome, guys. Always welcome. Okay, Pliano. Are we good to go for the class picture, Julius? I hope you can join us sa formal class, guys. Lalo na kung um, if you need the certificate, kasi meron kaming mga master classes, but we also do a one-on-one executive program. But all assessment and all TNA are free. So just give us, communicate us. But training, please communicate with our administrator at Limitless. So walang dyan. Just tell us. But for yung consultancy, just reach out. We'll share everything with you. Naman dyan. And thank you for the opportunity to at least share a little bit. It's very time constrained kasi it's a practice namin. Especially when I'm in the shipping industry, it takes 30 days. And later on, we had to compress it to 8 days uh, before this. Pero naman, I'm happy also to share with you that if you finish the program, especially the formal 8 days, it is sanctioned by the American Hotel Association. So I will sign with my license to if you finish yung So they will recognize that as that's recognized internationally yung aming training program. When I sign, I will also indicate my license number for that. So kung makukumpleto nyo sana, it's credited and recognized around the world. So thank you. Thank you. Are we done, are we done, Julius? Thank you, everyone. Thank you. It's a pleasure. I'm sorry about some technicalities. I'm not the background guy for the techie dito. Malamang si Signal yan. On our end, it's very good naman. So, please forgive us kung may mga technical difficulties. Ano naman dyan. Okay, please subscribe to our free web channels yan sa YouTube. It's being flashed. Please stay safe, everyone. If you need some consultancy for your organization or your medical supply needs, it's just message us kasi our company MRRI Trading is also providing all of this, especially if your LGU is fighting COVID actively. So kami yung partner nila. Just sharing with you. Just tell us and how we can help you. Okay? Thank you very much. So I guess we're done. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Done. So I guess I can leave already.